is mm, so when Rachel and I were thinking about what to offer for today's session, she noted that it was Women's History Month and that it might be nice to do something to celebrate the lineage of women in our tradition. And we bounced around a few ideas and landed on the idea of looking at a poem from the Therigatha. And we thought it might be nice to read the poem into the meditation. So in a moment, I'll guide us in a meditation and drop the poem in. I wanted to just first say a few words about the Therigatha in case there are people here who have not yet stumbled across this gem. So the Therigatha is 73 poems written by early nuns where they talk tenderly and vulnerably about their struggles and accomplishments as well along the path to awakening. They're just so human, and for me, they're really inspiring reminders of this lineage of awakened women. And also, they inspire me about what's possible, even when we're feeling pretty desperate or down. So the other thing I want to just say about these poems is that they were transmitted orally for 500 years. I just want you to imagine for a moment that folks back then knew these poems to be valuable enough to memorize and pass them down from memory, from generation to generation. And in my imagination, there wasn't much in the way of sort of wealth, inheritance stuff that people were passing down, but these priceless poems were the legacy. So, yeah. And there's a lot of different translations, some of them very faithful, some of them very intuitive and imaginative. And for today, we're going to use a pretty classical translation from Susan Murcott. So, yeah, let's just find a comfortable posture to sit for 15 minutes or so. Really feeling those sits bones contacting the cushion or chair. And maybe imagining the roots going down into the earth, which holds us all. Sort of really grounding us deep into the soil, the ground. Maybe there's that quiet sense of, here I am in this place. At this moment in time. Alive. Sentient. really here. As life emerges through us, unknowable, immediate. And we might sense into the space behind us, at our back, and imagine the ancestors that have carried the teachings of the Buddha, going back and back and back to the time when the Buddha was alive. And arhants were not a rare thing, awakened beings, that is. And a lively community of nuns were meditating together and waking up and sharing poems about their personal journeys. With no clue that these poems would be handed forward over and over again across continents and centuries, generation by generation. So that we can share them now and share the spark, the honesty, the vibrant experience that these nuns had. So here's one such poem from a nun named Mittakali, who was known to be quarrelsome and the daughter of a Brahmin. And I just want to say that it's so rare for the women's names and details of their lives to survive. So I'm just tingling with gratitude that we have a name for the one who wrote this poem, and we know a little bit about her. And the poem has her name as the title. So Mittakali. Although I left home for no home and wandered full of faith, I was still greedy for possessions and praise. I lost my way. My passions used me. and I forgot the real point of my wandering life. Then, as I sat in my little cell, there was only terror. I thought, this is the wrong way. A fever of longing controls me. Life is short. Age and sickness gnaw away. I have no time for carelessness before this body breaks. And as I watched, the elements of mind and body rise and fall away, I saw them as they really are. I stood up. My mind was completely free. The Buddha's teaching has been done. Well, it takes a little time in silence to just steep in the poem. And perhaps now gently opening the eyes and coming into connection with this community from all its various spots on the earth, coming together in present time to contemplate. And just before I hand over to Rachel, I'll read the poem one more time. Or did you want to say something before I do that, Rachel?
All right. I think, why don't you offer the poem into the room, and I guess I would add one thing. Just noticing the delight at seeing all these faces of friends. We're gonna do a bit of a Dhamma contemplation. So as Nick reads the poem, these words from Mittakali, I invite you, if it's comfortable for you, to just let the eyes close and really take them in, knowing Nick is sort of a vessel for these words, this experience of this woman from thousands of years ago upon her awakening. Noticing how the words touch you. And then we'll move into a bit of a contemplation together. Take it away, Nick.
So this is Mittakali. Although I left home for no home and wandered full of faith, I was still greedy for possessions and praise. I lost my way. My passions used me, and I forgot the real point of my wandering life. Then, as I sat in my little cell, there was only terror. I thought, this is the wrong way. A fever of longing controls me. Life is short. Age and sickness gnaw away. That's GNAW. Age and sickness gnaw away. I have no time for carelessness before this body breaks. And as I watched the elements of mind and body rise and fall away, I saw them as they really are. I stood up. My mind was completely free. The Buddha's teaching had been done.
And I'd like to invite us into exploring these words together, attuning to emergence. We'll put the poem up on the screen and share the poem. And have a little taste of a Dhamma contemplation. So the invitation is to take this poem in now with the eyes. And as you like, you can unmute and speak out the words or phrases that touch you. But also listening deeply to the words shared by our co-meditators, our meditation partners. Speaking only the words of the text, just offering them into the room and then pausing to ruminate. Let these words find a home in your memory, in your heart, mind, and body. Not knowing what you'll share or what will be shared. Noting that arising and passing, the ephemeral nature, yet timeless teaching that's been carried for thousands of years to right now. Which words touch you right now? Feel free to unmute and offer those words or phrases into the room. What's happening now? Perhaps inviting a pause. Is it okay to relax, receiving and allowing what's here right now? Multitude of voices carrying one stream, one mind stream from the past to the present. We practice with a contemplation in dyads. Pondering which elements of Mittakali's experience do you relate to? Even as I share that inquiry right now, what do you notice arising? Maybe the mind's wanting to think, what am I going to say? Which of those words touched me? Just noticing the arising and passing of thoughts will play with attuned to emergence. When we practice together, meditate together in dyads, such an opportunity to allow the guidelines of insight dialogue to deepen our experience of what's going on here, what's going on over there, what's going on in between us, internally, externally, and both. Even as we rest in the arising and passing, but are we aware of it? Which elements of Mittakali's experience do you relate to? I relate to a lot of it, actually. When I first read this poem, I thought it was written just for me. It's really, wow, the honesty of the trials and tribulations of this path. Sense of struggle, of terror, of not knowing. Wanting possessions, wanting enlightenment, wanting freedom. And the fierceness of the determination of this quarrelsome woman. The adhitthana, the resolve. Yet the end of this poem, the end of this teaching, just to read it again, and please don't expect Nick's eloquence. And as I watched the elements of mind and body rise and fall away, I saw them as they really are. I stood up. My mind was completely free. The Buddha's teaching has been done. As I watched the elements of mind and body rise and fall away, I saw them as they really are. That's the moment. That's attuning to emergence. Really tuning in. And when we tune in, we see all the ways the mind tries to control experience and the fear and anxiety of letting go, of letting go and settling back into the unknown. And that's the invitation for you with your meditation partner. Dear speaker, which elements of Mittakali's experience do you relate to? Can you attune to the emergence of the felt response, the thoughts in the mind, any emotions or concepts as you're speaking, pausing, relaxing, using the guidelines, but specifically attuning to emergence. And the dear listener will pause and relax and open and notice what is arising and passing as you listen. The voice of another. Can you give it wise attention and see what's happening here? What's happening here? Internally, externally, and both. Deepening, listening deeply, attuning to emergence. You will each have 6 minutes to share your experience. First speaker will have 6 minutes. Second speaker will have 6 minutes. And then open dialogue, the playground for attuning to emergence. No form, just the interplay of this mind body and that mind body, our mind body systems, meditating together out loud, not knowing, tuning to emergence together. How does this experience of awakening, Mittakali's experience, how do you relate to it? So in a moment, I'll invite Nancy to open the breakout rooms. And just
Okay. So again, just taking a little pause and seeing what's emerging now as we come back into the larger group. Just a moment to feel the heart and the body. Take a breath and So Rachel and I and Nancy and Anita actually had a lovely time to just look at what was touching us each in this poem. And for this last sort of sharing time, we'd like to just open the floor and have you speak if as you feel moved to. And it might be about anything really, about how this poem touched you, how your dyad opened something. And we also wanted to just offer the possibility, because for Rachel and I, this poem seems to hold all sorts of lines that we could take as a little phrase to put on the fridge or an altar or somewhere to just keep me on track. So if there is such a phrase and you'd like to talk about it and talk about how it speaks to you, feel free to do that. And to also, maybe carry it for a week and see how it informs practice, how Mittakali might help us in our practice as we sit and share together. So yeah, feel free to just unmute as you feel to. And as it happened in the with the words and phrases, some of you might speak at the same time, and that's really fine. It's just like we do when we're in person. Some of us speak at the same time, and so we'll figure it out. But yeah, anything you'd like to say or even ask about meaning or any element of this poem that's tweaking your interest or inspiring your practice.
Nick?
The time of the Buddha. And in the last 20 years, this has been changing and people have been naming the women ancestors. And sometimes that's done by name. And the way that my Zen teacher honored the women was with the chant that I'd like to share with you. So yeah, let's stand up if you feel to and have a little chant. Hang on. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, existing right here, now. The wind blows, waves fall on the shore, and Guanyin finds us in those dark and broken roads. We give thanks to all the ancestors of meditation in the still halls, the unknown women, centuries of enlightened women, ants and rocks and red-tailed hawks. May wisdom go to every corner of the house. May we all take joy in each other's joy. Thank you, dear ones.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, everyone. And I'd like to pass to Anita to offer teaching on generosity.
Actually, I'm going to do that for today.
Oh,
Thank you.
sorry about that, Nancy. Thank you.
That's so fine. First I would like to, is because I don't want to miss this opportunity, I'm putting in the chat box the link to the information page on the Insight Dialogue community website about the newly forming Queer ID Sangha, of which our two teachers today are instrumental in founding. So there's that. And then it is my pleasure to be able to talk just a little bit about Donna. I'm going to put another link in the chat box where you've probably all seen this before. You can choose individual teachers from the drop-down menu to offer financial contribution. I just find so much joy in this practice, and it's become more and more clear to me how this practice is Donna in action. Gregory always says we can't do this alone, and it is so true that we need each other to wake up together. And I just really enjoy recalling that this is part of the flow. Our practice together is giving and receiving and being in that stream of Donna. So Donna's in my life in so many ways. And I just encourage you to recall how Donna's working in your daily life, and how precious these teachings are, and what we as individuals and collectively can do to forward these teachings in a world that so sorely needs them. So thank you very much. We're going to have another Sunday Sangha on the first Sunday of April. And hopefully we'll see many of you there. Rachel, did you have more to say?
Yes, thank you, Nancy, for holding us today so expertly with your guiding us in contemplation, and Anita for holding the space and kind introductions and welcome, and obviously to Nick.
Yes, and thank you to all you voices, all those lovely voices who came and held the poem and responded to the poem. I just really loved everything that was spoken and just felt so graced by your receiving.
Yeah,
so
thank you, everyone. Yeah, we carry this teaching forward. Stream continues. Wishing you all well. May the practice we've done here be a cause and a condition of this sure heart's release, and may it benefit all beings everywhere, without exception.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.